You don't know what's out there.
That's why I would go.
Hi, and welcome back to Wild Dream, where we give you the freshest takes on the latest movies. My name is David.
And my name is Daniel.
And we are back. Once again, after yet another...
How did I know you were going to say that?
You know, here's the thing.
We need a tally. We need a tally on how many times we've started the pod with that this year.
I thought about this the other day because I was actually watching some YMS videos, one of our favorite movie reviewers out there. Not that there are anyone else doing this. We're the only ones if you're listening. He also is like that. He doesn't put out a video every single week of every movie that comes out. He just kind of waits and does like 3 movies at a time, or he does one movie that's like highly anticipated or whatever.
Yeah, he's one of the lucky ones that gets to go to film festivals too and can put out a big, massive...
Which we would love to do. If anyone has any connections out there and would love to get us into a film festival for not $3,000+ that would be cool.
Please.
As hell.
Yeah, we are back. and
we are back.
And we're not going to...
back.
Our New Year's resolution, we're just going to be fine. We're going to release when we want to release. We're going to record when we want to record. And we're not going to treat it as if we're failing for not releasing on time or once a week, because it's okay and it's fine. And we're 4 years in, which is insane. We're very, very close to our 4-year anniversary.
We're very close to our last year, I think.
I think we're close to our last. Yeah, maybe it's streaming. I think streaming is closer to ending than this. But so we were very excited for the movie that we saw today. And the movie that we did see today is called Obsession.
And we are obsessed with these movies, just like everyone in the world right now.
We were very excited for this. This is the feature debut, sort of. From
That's a Bad Idea.
From That's a Bad Idea
comedy duo.
The brain behind. That's a Bad Idea comedy duo. Curry Barker. So me and Dave have been following these guys for years.
Yeah, so this is a group of guys that they have been doing sketch comedy and horror shorts like simultaneously for years now. Mm-hmm. I think that they are, a lot of their sketches are really funny and they've been able to work with a lot of really high level comedians and people who are pretty big in the sketch comedy game, and if you like watch other people who do sketch comedy on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, they've been able to work with a lot of these people. But we've also known that they are really into horror and that they've been making horror shorts, and they have a shorter feature length horror movie out there as well that, kind of was the catalyst of getting, these bigger projects. And now Curry Barker, who is the writer director of Obsession and, the part of the duo behind That's a Bad Idea. I mean, after this movie, he's getting everything he wants and then some. Like, they are shelling out for him to make more projects. So we were like, okay, this movie has to do something that every studio in the world was like, we got to work with this guy.
This is a new kind of paradigm of horror right now, because it's kind of crazy that I was in sketch comedy and now I'm a very promising horror director is literally just the fact that this is not rare. And that he's just another one of these guys. Yeah. It's like, this is an actual paradigm shift in horror, because obviously the big name that kind of starts this is Jordan Peele, right? But then you have Zach Cregers, who is starting to make stuff, and it's like, oh, that's the guy from Whitest Kids You Know. And then our favorite horror movie of last year is made by two brothers who were making comedy videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like
Philip brothers.
Yeah, it's like this is starting to become a thing. Like, sketch comedy guys are starting to give the freshest, most interesting takes on horror, and I am so unbelievably here for it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence at all. It kind of goes back to, in a certain way, it goes back to what you were talking about our last episode with Hokum, and you were talking about how YMS was comparing scary, non-diegetic sounds in horror movies to a laugh track that it's like, you're supposed to do this. So on the flip side of that coin, working in comedy and knowing like, okay, this is me trying to go for a laugh. If you flip that and go, this is me trying to go for a scare, you're already familiar with a certain process of trying to elicit something from the audience in the way that you perform it. And so it does make sense to my brain that they are that this is not an uncommon thing for really, really funny people who make funny stuff, being able to flip it and just do a different type of genre. Now, with that said, this movie is also funny.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of comedy in it.
Yeah, and that's, you could say the same thing about Weapons, that it has comedy in it, intentional, very you're supposed to laugh. And I think that is one of the things that we talked about for Weapons. It's also something we talked about for Hokum, which you can go listen to, a very recent episode of Hokum. Was that our last episode? I don't fucking remember. I don't fucking remember what fucking episode we fucking did.
It was. That was our last episode.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to our Hokum episode. But one of the things that we praised that movie for, that I think this movie is very similar, is that you laugh at the parts you're supposed to laugh at. And that's the thing, is we've watched horror movies in the past where we are laughing because it's so bad. It's so awful that we laugh, so bad it's good type of movies. So I think that adding a little bit of comedy into horror movies is very relieving. I think it's a very good device to use for horror movies. And I think I'm really glad that more and more people are doing that because it is a genre that can be inherently funny at times,
Sure, yeah. I think too, I compare it to electronic music. I know that electronic music has thankfully evolved quite a bit, but I remember when I was, I'm Unk. Okay, I was around for when EDM became all of a sudden about the drop. It wasn't always like that. It was not always like that. But it's in 2014, you could be one of the biggest DJ in the world by just having songs that were dog shit for 90% of the song, but then the drop was and it's still definitely present in today's electronic scene, but it's not near as hinged upon as it was back then. And I remember hating that turn. I was like, dude, this song fucking reeks for the majority of the runtime, but then this drop is really cool. So I think that's the same with horror films, where there was a little bit of a dry spell with, or maybe it was burnout or whatever it was with horror, where it wasn't full enough. It was we're waiting to get to the scares.
Yeah.
Almost like electronic music waiting to get to the drop. And I think that this new wave of making sure that the entire movie is good and doesn't only rely upon the horror being good, and it keeps it more entertaining. It makes the film more rewarding. There's just so much more to get out of it.
And we've seen some god awful horror movies on this podcast. I mean, if you can go listen to some of our spooktaculars where we've watched movies that got 0 out of 10s out of us.
Yeah.
So we know that it's we're not completely out of that, but what we are doing right now is we are getting more and more actually legit, really good horror movies every single year for the last couple of years that I'm really excited about. And I think that these, creators, and the more and more that they get opportunities, it's just going to help the horror genre a lot, because I think that horror is also very similar to EDM in that if you are someone who's into horror, you will watch any horror movie. And I think I find that for EDM, people who love EDM will listen to any EDM ever made by anyone. Yeah. That's how it feels sometimes.
That's true.
And there are horror fans out there, but me and Dan are on the outside of both of those spectrums, by the way. So if we listen to EDM, we only listen to artists we actually like. And when we watch horror movies, we don't just enjoy every single horror movie that's ever been made. Mm-hmm. We have very specific list of our favorites. And I felt Hereditary is one that gets talked about a lot, and I think that that is one that follows kind of exactly what you're talking about, where the whole movie is good. That story is so good. It's about grief, and it's about, what what your parents did and the mistakes that they made and how you make different mistakes, whatever. There's so much that goes into that movie other than just blah. And then you go watch a movie like fucking Imaginary, and it's the worst fucking dog shit. It's which, by the way, I've seen that movie on shelves. By the way, when we're looking for these movies, we're still collecting physical media out here, guys. But I've seen Imaginary. I'm like, do I buy this for Dan just as a bit?
Do I throw it away as a bit?
No. But anyways, So this movie, there was a lot of hype around it, and I think that it did live up to the hype in a lot of ways. It's also a movie very similar to Bring Her Back, where when I watch the creator of this movie, when I watch, these things with Curry Barker, I'm like, man, he just loves creating. He loves being creative. And that is really inspiring and very endearing when I'll go to watch a movie that he made. It's some people I'm like, oh, you don't give a fuck about this. Like Imaginary is a great example of that. I'm like, yeah, this is a guy who made fucking Nickelodeon movies and then went and made a movie for Blumhouse because they needed to sell fucking movies in a dry month. Like it was just a cash grab. Oh, horror fans will go see anything type of bullshit, you know? So it's like, I love when like you see a lot of intention in a movie. And I think that is something that is part of that movement. It's part of the, you know, like when we watch interviews with the Philippe brothers and people like that, it's like, yeah, they love these types of movies. I'm excited for Zach Krieger's Resident Evil movie, even though I didn't play all of the games, you know, because I watch interviews with him and he fucking loves this franchise. He loves horror so much. He has so much care and intention put into this that to the point to where it makes you like really excited for just this guy.
Yeah, 100%. This one being obviously pretty special because I didn't follow along with White as Kids, you know. With Jordan Peele, I was a massive Mad TV fan when I was growing up. And I used to always prefer it to Saturday Night Live. And I remember feeling like such an...
my Mad TV kids out there.
And so getting to see his turn, you know, and I remember when Keanu came out, I was so excited. I was just excited for him to have a feature in general.
Yeah.
Him and Keegan. But yeah, I mean, just us being along for the ride with That's a Bad Idea. And it's funny that I thought that... I remember when Curry got a role on It's Always Sunny. I remember being so excited for him and thinking that was the peak,
the trajectory,
of just like, holy shit, he did it. He got on a massively successful comedy show, which is in his realm. He's a comedy writer. I mean, I knew that he made horror shorts, but yeah, I just thought that was the peak. And now, like having walked out of the theater of this, I was like, holy shit, I was not prepared for how much higher he could reach.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really stoked for him. I really do hope that he's able to keep up this kind of consistency with his next projects 100%. And it's really fascinating. I'm super excited for him. I'm excited. I love that Cooper's in this movie as well and has like an actual big role because I mean the cast is really small in this film. So that's really exciting for me too. Is I love entourage type shit where it's like, hey, if I eat, we're all eating, you know. Obviously, like I'm recording with my creative partner right now, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been doing stuff
for partners for 27 years almost.
For so many years. So, and same with Mo, you know, like that's someone that's just like, if we ever got big, you know that, you know, Timothy's going to have a hand in it. Mo's going to have a hand in it. I'm going to have a hand in it. You're going to have a hand. You know, it's like, I love stories like that. So this is really inspiring and I'm super happy that it turned out so well. And
getting to this actual movie.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of hype.
Yeah, getting to the actual movie. Yeah, I mean, when we say it lives up to the hype, I mean, I think that what I was expecting from this movie is one, for something new and refreshing. I definitely felt that. I felt like there was a lot of this that was like something I had never seen before. And it's not a concept that nobody has ever done that I've never seen, but the way that they did it was very special and unique, I think. And I think that having a movie where there's a lot of layers to it is really difficult to do. And it does take a lot of care. It does take a lot of intent. And it does, like, you know, where they don't look like, at no point does this movie force feed you anything. I love that. I think that was probably my favorite part of the movie is that you get to understand things as the characters understand them. And the main character is very quiet, mousy, you know, whatever. So you don't really get any of these staring at the camera and going, here's what the story, what happened was this. And this is how I feel. And this is my motivation. And this is why I'm doing everything I'm doing. Like, you don't get that. The movie just lets you watch these characters, understand them and their personalities. And then you go, oh, I know someone who's like that. I know someone who's like this. I know someone who's like that. And I can understand their dynamic, not because they look at the camera and go, I've known this guy for 14 years and we started working together 7-8 years ago. And since then, he's been my best friend. Like, they don't do that. Yeah. They just have relationships that you understand because you know how human beings and how they are. Like,
the pace of that, the way that they establish characters in the movie, like what you're alluding to, reminded me of Midsummer a little bit. Like, the beginning of Midsummer, it just drops you into like friends hanging out and you're already like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's natural. It makes sense. There's chemistry. There's shared, you know what I'm saying? And this was even less heavy-handed than Midsummer in that regard. But yeah, just dropping you in and going like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, and they're talking and you get it and it establishes it perfectly and doesn't overdo anything. And I don't think I even really noticed that, you know, for better or for worse. Like I was like, oh yeah, now that you're saying it, I'm realizing there was none of that in this movie. There was no... Obviously, there's no smile plot in this movie. There is no, we got to go to the first, you know, there's none of that bullshit.
Oh, man, that's so good, too, because you're right about that. And I, for a second, thought they were gonna. And I was so glad that they didn't, bro. I'm so glad they did not smile plot this movie because I was so nervous. I was like, if you guys do this, you'll ruin this fucking movie for me. Mm-hmm. And I was having such a good time. And the other thing about this movie is that, you know, I think that one of the better parts of the way that the story progresses is that on one hand, my biggest gripe of the movie is that at a certain point, the movie feels repetitive, right? So it's like throughout the majority of the movie, things are progressing. Like things are getting scarier. They're getting worse. The situation is getting more dire. The situation is getting worse, right? And then there's this section of the movie where I was thinking in my head, I was like, all right, let's move it on. Okay, we get it. Like nothing new was happening, nothing special, nothing crazy, nothing whatever. And I only felt that way for about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel that way for 15 minutes. I didn't feel that way for 30 minutes of the, and we know movies that are like this. Like I felt that way for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And then a new thing happened. I go, oh, that's why they're still doing this because they're waiting to introduce this part of it. And then this movie also has a few moments of the movie that these moments alone are worth the price of admission. And I cannot wait to tell you guys in spoiler talk.
Yeah. And, I agree with that completely. The pacing of this film reminded me actually a lot of Bring Her Back. The fact that it takes its time establishing while remaining mysterious and creepy and entertaining and all. It contains so many multitudes that you're just watching a nice entertaining film, but then it starts to ramp up to a point of no turning back, and it really delivers on that so well. And yeah, it's actually kind of crazy how much this reminds me of Bring Her Back, just in terms of pacing alone. Of just like it feels like both movies reach that like holy shit, fucking balls to the wall at the same point in the movie in the runtime. So it does that very, very well. Yeah, and I think that the amount of subtext in this film is just enough.
Yeah, it's the way the characters are developed in the subtext that you have for them, like. They establish a character and a personality trait just through their actions alone. And then you will go, like later in the movie, you go, oh, that comes into play. The way that this person is, it actually comes into play for this specific story. Mm-hmm. And it's like you can read it like you said, like it's subtext. It's not blatant. It's not obvious. And it's not the main point of the movie, but it is very intentional and very character driven. And to the degree of where you go, okay, you don't have to write down, oh, this character says this and that's how they feel. Like you can tell that, you know, Curry Barker, he knew, oh, this character is like this. That's why he's going to make this decision and do these things and feel this way. Even if he never says that out loud, but then it comes into play with the story.
Yeah, I mean, it does so well at balancing its subtlety with its, again, balls to the wall, over the top moments, which you want in horror. If you're going to make a horror movie, you want over the top moments. Like, yeah. At least I would assume that's how I feel about horror. I would hope that everyone else agrees.
And you know what? I have a new phrase for this too, because, you know, they use the phrase bump the lamp, you know, for when you're, especially like just making movies in general. That's referring to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, about go that extra mile, do something that might be complicated, but do it for the shock factor and go over the top. I got a new one. This is from Bring Her Back. I call it bite the knife. You have to, you have to bite the knife.
Yeah.
At a certain point, bite the knife. Like, do the thing that no one is expecting and just go fucking all out with it.
Right. Yeah. I'm so satisfied with this film. I'm inspired by it. It made me want to make something, even if it's not horror. Like, I was just like, oh man, I want to make something now. And that's one of the highest compliments I can give a film, is it inspired me to want to make movies myself. Or even sometimes I'll say, like, this made me want to act. This made me want to do a role like this. This is one of those movies. It inspired me. It was very inspiring. It really was. And I am so happy that this turned out so well. Similar to Bring Her Back, when I left the theater, and you guys can listen to that episode. This one, I'm like, this is one of my favorite horror movies now. I really do believe that. I love this movie. It's one that I like. When it comes to favorite horror movies, one of the key parts of like, this is my favorite movie type of thing, and especially with horror, is the factor of it being something that I want to show other people that haven't seen it yet. Like that, and I felt that leaving that. I was like, oh my God, I want Brent to see this. I texted Mo, I was like, hey man, you got to see Obsession. When a movie does that, it's like, that's when you know it's in favorites type of territory. And this one is that. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to rewatch this. I can't wait to own this on physical. I want to share this with people. I think that this is such a refreshing voice, and I really am excited to see it again. We just already saw it, but this one's going to stand the test of time. I'm really, really happy that it turned out so well.
Am I the only one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece?
No, I feel you on that. It's funny too, because my brain is so wired for physical media right now. And I'm like, yep, I'm going to own this movie 100%. Mm-hmm. I can already see where I'm going to put it on my shelf. I got to get that 4K out. Like I'm really excited to own this movie, because this is one that I'm going to love to see special. Like I said, just special features for. Let me finish my sentence before I start the next one. I would love to see the special features for this movie, especially because, like I said, watching interviews with Curry Barker, I'm just like, man, this guy fucking loves film. He loves the movies. He loves horror. He loves a lot of what he's doing. And this is not just a paycheck to him. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love like really intentional art. And so I feel like his special features, especially with the commentary or something, is going to be really great. And also, you can tell some of the stuff that they did in this movie was low budget. You could tell that they were like going for, a certain thing that made it easier for them to film. And that's okay too. And I think that that's really endearing as well. Because you can tell that their focus was on making a good movie, and not just making a movie. I think that's one of the biggest complaints that people have right now when they're saying, oh, movies suck. But yeah, people, this complaint kind of comes from a place of seeing how commercialized movies are being pumped out, just like, and they're like using more AI with everything that they're making, and they're doing these sound stages with lights instead of doing green screen because they don't even want to wait for fucking CGI, and they're like doing stuff where the lighting just doesn't make any sense and it's not motivated, It's so like, and we talked about this a little bit in Hokum, that movies are just so bright and so just everything is in focus. So to see a movie like this, where similar to Hokum, that is lit very, very well, the color is very good, and the lighting is always motivated, and there's shallow depth. The way they use depth in this movie is actually really cinematic.
It's very prevalent.
It's extremely prevalent.
I thought the same thing.
And it's so intentional too, because that's the other thing, is when you have amateur filmmakers, a lot of times they use depth just for no reason at all. And it was one of my complaints about Moonlight, which ended up winning Best Picture. I was like, my complaint about Moonlight, I was like, every single shot is shallow depth. Mm-hmm. I'm like, not every single shot needs to be shallow depth, but also not every shot needs to be full focus, 100% focus or infinite focus. So the use of it in this movie is very cinematic, but also very intentional and very prevalent. So like, if they just do it really well and for these really specific reasons, that I think makes the movie a lot better. So it's just things like that. When I say this movie is so intentional and clearly made with love, like that's what I'm talking about. It's not just they love horror, they love film, and they love like using these different techniques to their max potential. I'm blowing this movie so much. It's not a perfect movie. There are some flaws with it, I promise. I think my biggest flaw was the music. I didn't love really any, like the needle drops were bad, I think. Which there's not that many, so it's not like, oh, this.
I was about to say, I actually don't remember any.
Just nonstop needle drops. Like, there's like 2 in the whole movie, and both of them, I was like, yeah, you could have taken these out. And there were a couple of moments where I was like, I think you need silence here. Instead, they play like a.
That I agree.
This like ambient, scary noise. And I think that Weapons is a movie that does it better, where they just use silence for like an entire, like a long sequence where you go, oh my God, okay, I'm locked the fuck in now, So yeah, silence was not as used. Like it is a tool that should be used. And I think that in this movie, they shied away from silence a little too much for my preference. Now, I'm not saying they didn't ever do it. They did it in a couple of moments that were so fucking good. I was like, I'll forgive you for the other like 4 or 5 times you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I will.
They do it at the right spots.
Yes.
So like the importance of the scene in which they sometimes are a little ham-fisted, or if that's the right term, with the music.
By the way, that is just officially a term because you use it. And then sometimes you say, is that a term? Is that a thing? And it is now because you say ham-fisted so often that it is a thing now.
And
I'm adding it to Urban Dictionary tomorrow.
so, yeah, the moments where they overdo it with the music and it maybe becomes a little bit like manipulative territory with the this is scary type of vibe. They do that in moments that are not as consequential. So it's not super souring at all. But yeah, I do.
It is a little much where it's just like, okay, this like, and it's not that like, oh, this scene should be scary still. It's more of this is just not needed. You know, this is just a scene of a guy looking at something in his car. It doesn't need music over it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a moment where music adds or hurts. It just is there in like a Hallmark kind of way. Like Daniel pointed out, by the way, if you guys want Daniel to ruin Hallmark movies for you, he pointed out that in Hallmark movies, the music is playing underneath every single scene in the entire movie. They have no moment where the music is not playing. That is absolutely true. It has ruined Hallmark movies for me. Not that I needed them to be ruined, but you know what I'm saying. But anyways, yeah. So this is a movie where silence is used very, very well. But there are other times where it's just not like impressive or good or interesting music. Just kind of wallpaper music that's being put underneath because they just don't want something to be silent. And I'm like, you don't need it there.
It sounded, the score itself sounded a little bit like a more subdued, not as out there It Follows soundtrack. It was very electronic. It was super synth heavy.
Yeah, the opening of the movie, I was like, Stranger Things. Which, guys, if you don't know, Stranger Things invented synth.
But It Follows, has that, they're more out there. That track, that score is more risky and more melodic. I can still remember, I still remember that run. Yeah. Because it's that catchy and daring. So
a lot of wallpaper type.
Yeah, like wallpaper's a little harsh, but it is like it's very, very shy. Yeah. I think that the score is very, very shy, and so it's a very safe score too. So it doesn't.
That's true.
It's not bad, but it's also not like remember that track. You're not going to come home like the Hereditary. We talked about it a million times, but like you come home, you remember some of the songs from that score, and it's not going to be the case with.
There
this
are a lot
one.
of scores too. You go and you play them, and you remember everything about that movie. And
exactly.
It's fun to reminisce a movie through its sound, and this is just not one of those movies, and that's okay. That's just, I'm saying this movie's not perfect is my point. It's like if I had to pick something to complain about, that was one of the things. I think that in general, the sound editing of the movie was very good. So the sound design was done really well. There's only one cheap jump scare in the movie, and it's pretty early on. The rest of them...
Yeah, it's like the first one, I think, yeah.
It's the first one. The rest of them are pretty natural in terms of like the sound is actually coming from the room or coming from the area or whatever. And most of it is something that would be loud. So there's not really any like...
Also true, yeah.
Someone drops a fucking pin on the ground and it's... anything like that. So the sound actually exists, and that sound would be loud if it existed in that space. And some of the sound, I think, too, that they did well is that there's some stuff in the movie that's just disgusting. It's not like scary. They do some like body horror type, just like grossness. Mm-hmm. And that stuff does sound gross, if that makes sense to people. It just like, oh man, I'm like, like the type of plug your ears,
they nail the specific type of grossness to the sound that it needs. Yeah. And that which leads me into, we can't leave spoiler-free talk without shouting out the performances in this movie, especially the lead actress.
Yeah.
She was absolutely the star of the film.
And she had a tough job.
Very, very much
really
so.
tough job.
And
she has to play like sorry.
She knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, 100%.
This is a new star. This is I don't want to go this far, but just in terms of like, wait, who is this? She's about to be in everything, right? Like it's like Chase Infinity, with one battle after another, where it's like, I have not seen this person before, but I expect to see her in a lot of stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
Because she was fantastic. So shout out to the lead actress as well. Everyone else was good too. Don't get me wrong. But she's really the star.
Yeah. And as far as the horror goes, yes, this movie is scary. It is also gory. It is intense in its gore variety, but not in the amount. But if you like gore, you're going to like this movie. If you don't like gore, there's going to be moments you're not going to like in this movie. It is also funny, like we said. It's got good comedic timing in it, and it's also well paced, like we said, so it doesn't feel like a super long movie. So in terms of a recommend, if you like horror movies, I recommend this. If you do not like horror movies, if you get scared easily, there's going to be moments of the movie that's going to scare the fucking piss out of you. So be careful out there. I know we have some listeners who don't like horror movies, don't like to be scared. So we're just giving that warning. If you're like, well, is this one actually scary? Yes, it is.
There are parts where, it is.
Like, I think, even someone who doesn't really like horror could probably watch Undertone at times. You know what I mean? Like movies like that. Just, but this one is, it has a lot of different types of horror in it. It has quiet horror, it has jump scare horror, it has gore, it has, just like anticipation horror, the type that has your heart racing, like that kind of stuff. So it's got a wide variety. But I cannot wait to talk about this movie and spoiler talk and go through some of the details of it.
I agree. I think it's time for some spoiler talk.
I wish that I knew everything that was going to happen before it happened.
Everyone dies.
Fuck. Oh, man. Now I know.
Spoiler alert.
Obsession. We're about to get into the rundown.
It's time for the rundown. I'm so obsessed. With the rundown. I love the rundown. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Please, oh my God, please. I just want you to run the movie down. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I didn't run it down perfectly for you. I'll redo it again. I'll do it again. I swear to God, I'll do it again. You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love it. I just want you to love it, please. Or don't. It's really up to you.
Man, where's my luggage, man? No way.
I forgot that I had that on the board. Where's my luggage, man? No way.
So Obsession starts off by giving us a pretty clear understanding of the type of characters that we are working with, okay? What's the main character's name?
Bear.
So you have the main character, his name is Bear, and he's the
Short for Baron.
Least bear guy there is. He's a very, very awkward, like closed off, like, I don't know. I don't want to say autistic because that's not the right word, because not everybody with autism acts like this guy. Because I've met some very outgoing and, type A personalities from people with autism, but this guy is just like, he's just like super, super stiff and stilted and shy and reserved and can like barely speak. It seems like there were times where he kind of pissed me off in the movie because I was like, he was struggling so much to speak that I like wanted to slap him. I'm like, dude, fucking say a word. Oh my God. He's dude, fucking talk, dude. God damn. And then we have his friend Ian, right? Mm-hmm. Ian is played by Cooper, the other half of
That's a Bad Idea.
That's a Bad Idea.
He's outgoing.
He's very outgoing. He's kind of a broy
sure.
frat kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And they work together. Okay. Bear has a hardcore crush on Nikki, a girl that they work with, and they also went to high school with or whatever.
Little Nikki.
And he's gonna tell Nikki how he feels about her. He's finally gonna tell her how he feels about her, and he just doesn't know how he's gonna do it. And Ian's kind of like, well, just maybe don't do it. Like, maybe just be flirtatious first. Which this was kind of good advice. I was like, hey man, why don't you test the waters? Be a little bit flirty. See if she's like, ew, no, gross. Or if she's like into it before you go, hey, I'm in love with you. Like,
yeah. That is good advice.
It was good advice. But at the same time, he is like, it does come off a little bit like Ian doesn't want him to be with Nikki. And we'll get into that. later. And then we learn about Sarah as well. So Sarah is another coworker that they have. So Sarah and Nikki and Ian and Bear. That's basically the whole cast of this entire movie, right? Yeah. So when Bear is on his way to trivia night. Oh, wait. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. His cat is dead. The fake cat looked really bad to me.
Yeah, it looked very fake.
So Bear's cat has passed away, and that's only mildly important. We'll get to that. So he's on his way to trivia night, and he stops somewhere to get a new necklace for Nikki because she mentioned that she dropped her necklace down the drain. But while he's at this like crystal shop, he sees this thing that's a one wish willow. That's what I said. One wish willow.
If I had one willow wish.
If I had one willow wish, you would be my boo. Wait, they should have played this song.
Wow.
If I had one wish, you would be my boo.
Promise to
love you. Wow.
Yeah, one wish. That guy, Ray J, had one hit. It was that song.
Well, he had another hit that went pretty viral.
What?
Yeah.
Sex tape. He fucked.
Sex tape. He fucked Kim Kardashian.
It was on tape. Everyone's seen it.
Everyone's seen the sex tape before Kim Kardashian.
He's got a big old fat dick.
Well, it's not fat. That's the weird part. It's just very long and skinny. It's kind of got a pencil dick.
Hey, we're going to review this.
We're going to review the Kim Kardashian sex tape. She's not that good. Is it worth mentioning that Kim Kardashian is a pillow princess?
Who wants us to review the Ray J sex tape, bro?
Ray J did all the work.
I said the Ray J sex tape.
That's right. Because only one of them was really fucking.
Before I started getting us off track, where we were.
And the wish that he ends up making is so he goes to he gets this thing. It's like it's called a one wish willow. And he's like, oh, this is kind of cute. You know, it's a little thing. You break it, you make a wish on it. And he takes that with him. He's going to give it to her as a gift. And at the end of the night, he ends up taking her home. And she kind of is like, hey, you know, Sarah, like, she talks about you a lot. Like, what do you think about it? Do you like her? And, you know, obviously we're all like, no, he likes you. Obviously, woman. And
which, by the way, this is this is confirmation that Nikki does not like you.
Right. So it's like, here's the thing. Lots of different things that are so clearly she doesn't like you, right? Like even like, you know, right before they leave, Ian goes, hey, get your girl home safe. And then she goes, ew, gross. Don't say it like that. Ew means no.
Yeah,
buddy. Ew means I'm not into you. Ew, like, and if you're a girl out there listening to this and you're like, oh, when a guy likes me, I sometimes say ew to him. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. That's like the worst. You might as well have just stabbed him in the chest.
For real though.
Ew is like the worst fucking thing that you can say to a guy.
Just tell me outright to kill myself. Don't say ew.
Yeah. Just tell me your life is worthless. We'd all be happier without you. Don't say ew.
Don't say ew.
I'd rather you say that.
Yeah.
So she says this like twice, by the way, because even when he's like, hey, so I got you something, she goes, ew. I'm like, stop.
Why am I scared?
Yeah. She's like, ew, gross. Why am I scared? I'm like, don't. But at the same time, also, hey, Bear, read the room, buddy.
Yeah, 100%.
At the same time, she does this. He drops her off. She's like walking away. She comes back to the car because he ends up like negging her because Ian told him to, and he shouldn't have. But she comes back to the car. She goes, Bear, do you like me? Because if you have feelings for me, like right now will be the time to tell me. Like, tell me right now. Because she had just put in her 2 weeks at this job that they all work at, right? And he goes, and I'm in the theater, like, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the gut, man. He's like, I think that we're good friends. And she was like, okay, good. That's what I thought too. And then she walks away. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Everyone in the theater was like, dude, it was like a sigh from everybody. Oh, man, come on, dude. This was like worst case scenario. She says, okay, well, I don't feel that way. You know what I mean? But it's like, you gotta, I don't know. Listen, I'm an outgoing guy. I've told many girls, hey, I like you, and been told, ew. Well, a lot. Okay? But I'm married now. So, you know, you gotta shoot your shot. Like, that's how it works. Eventually, you're going to tell a girl that I like you, and she's going to say, I like you back. Cool. Now, I will say this about this whole situation. I'm gonna put this out there early so that we don't have to get into it 5-6 more times. The girl Sarah that likes him is a goth baddie, like an alt gothy chick at their job who is also very good looking. And I think most of us were like, hey, didn't she just tell you Sarah likes her? Maybe cut the shit with Nikki and don't even try that shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, insane that you're just like, no, only this one girl. Like, come on, bro. Anyways.
And even in their interactions before this, because they all interact at the bar. Even in their interactions before this, Sarah has a better personality.
Yeah, she's funnier.
She's like, she asked him about his cat. She showed some sympathy.
She shows him, she actually shows care for him.
Interest in him. And the little bit that we get from Nikki, the little bit that we get from her is a little immature. It's very immature. Again, the fact that she's, don't say it like she's very high schooler to me.
Yeah.
And it's
her
like,
whole personality was
ugh.
read as like high school girl.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
man,
it's so
you're right. Like Sarah actually says to him at the beginning of the movie, she goes, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" Like, I'm like, oh, this girl, Nikki, didn't even notice that you were distraught. She didn't even care about why you weren't coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was originally like not coming out because of his cat. And he says like, this is to Sandy. And no one questioned it except for Sarah. She goes, why to Sandy? Mm-hmm. You know, and then he tells her. So you're right. Like subtext. Right. It's these little things like, look, Sarah actually cares about you. Sarah actually wants, like, she has a crush on you, clearly, you know, and you just don't even care because you're so obsessed.
Hey-o.
Yeah, he's obsessed with Nikki, and it's just like, it's frustrating from on the outside looking in, especially because we've all been there. We've all seen people have these obsessions with the wrong person and be with the wrong people, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard, on the outside looking in. But anyways, when he says we're just friends, she's like, okay, so, Nikki walks away, and then he pulls out the one wish willow, and he says, I wish Nikki freaking loved me more than anybody else in the entire world. Very weird phrasing for this wish, by the way. Can I just say that? I didn't like that. Insane phrasing. But I was like, oh, I guess they have to get to a point of obsession. So here's how the movie goes from there, okay? And we'll get into some details about it, but we're in the rundown right now. So she then becomes obsessed with him. She's like, I want to be with you. And she's like, will not let him leave her side for a single moment. And she starts to ramp up into scarier and scarier territories of this. She lies about her dad having cancer. She, is following him everywhere that he goes. She goes back to his place and, they are like kissing and stuff, but then she freaks the fuck out every now and then she starts to watch him while he sleeps. And she's doing a lot of weird stuff too. Like she moves very weirdly and she says weird things and she's very obsessive. She tapes their door closed, hoping that it'll keep him from going to work without her. She is like constantly staring at him at all times. Like they even show like this montage, like throughout the montage, she's just staring, no matter what they're doing, she's staring at him. And it's really creepy and weird. And it keeps progressing and progressing until like a really scary level. At one point she stays home and he goes to work, and when he comes back, she is standing in the exact same spot that she was standing in when he left, and she has pissed and shat herself everywhere. And she just stood there waiting for him to come back. And every time he's like, I think we should have some distance, or I think whatever, she screams at him just at the top of her lungs, like, blood curling. No, like, whatever. So it's like, and it again just gets progressively weirder and weirder. Eventually they're at this party that she wasn't supposed to be going to, but she did anyway. And she does a bunch of weird shit in that scene. But one of the craziest things that happens is at a certain point, it has like this get out moment where the real Nikki comes out and she freaks out and tells everyone, this is not me, this is not me. And then she smashes a bottle and tries to fucking kill herself with it. And so, that ends up progressing into, there being a scene where Bear is about to leave the house and the real Nikki speaks to him and is like, will you kill me? Like, and she's like, literally, she's sitting there with her eyes closed and she's like, this is not actually me. I've never been with you. I've never whatever, and he's like, well, I don't know. And he like leaves. Right. So then, Bear ends up when he's leaving the house, he's going to go meet with Sarah because Sarah's like, hey, I have some stuff that I need to talk to you about. So he's meeting with Sarah in her car at a park, and now I will say this: Sarah was smoking in the scene, which I was like, "Ew." That's my ew. Can I do it? Can I say ew myself? Anyways,
I thought it was hot.
it's gross. I hate it.
I will say she was smoking in the car with the windows up, and that's pretty insane. But she looked good.
She looked cool. You trying to say smoking looks cool, Daniel?
Unfortunately, it does. That's why everyone does it.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why?
You idiot. You stupid bitch.
Don't you know that smoking kills? Well, I'll tell you what else kills. Your obsessed girlfriend. So during this scene, Nikki smashes the window and holds a brick to the steering wheel and then grabs the back of Sarah's head and smashes Sarah's head onto a brick over and over and over again until her face is completely obliterated. I was going to say decimated and I didn't.
Yeah, although this one would be more decimated.
Because it's only a tenth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very scary and very good. And this is the scene that I said, this is the scene that's the price of admission because of how it happens and how they pace it. We'll get more into that later. We're in the rundown. I'm reminding myself, not you guys. And then he starts to freak the fuck out. He's covered in blood. She's like, you're going to have to help get rid of this body. And so he helps her like pack it into a case from one of the things at the store that they work at. This is just a tiny little tidbit. Every single person in this movie seems to live on their own in a house, but they all work part-time at a music store.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest.
And
is
one of the
fallacy
characters,
the right word?
One of the characters says he inherited the house from his grandmother. That's the first. That's one of the characters says this.
Yeah.
Not all of four of them. Anyways, so he ends up going back to the store where he bought the one wish willow, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, whatever. And there is another scene that we're going to talk about where. Remind me to talk about the scene where he calls customer service. But anyways, he goes back to the store. He's like, what the fuck is this? They're like, well, it's too late. There's the only things that you can do is, you can either kill them, kill yourself, or you can have someone else make a wish to undo your wish. So he takes it to his friend Cooper. Oh, and one of the things we learned about Cooper, by the way, is that he was sleeping with Nikki the whole time.
Ian.
I said Cooper twice, didn't I?
Yeah.
He goes to Ian. The character's name, Ian. He goes to Ian. Ian was sleeping with Nikki on and off for a while. And shitty friend either way. Because either one, you knew your friend had a diehard crush on this girl and you slept with her anyway. Or two, you started sleeping with this girl and then you find out your friend has a diehard crush and you don't tell him that you guys are sleeping together. So either way, you're a fucking shitty friend. And then guess what shitty friends do? You bring him the thing and you say, you need to make this wish. And then he goes, all right, fine. I wish I had $1 billion. Cracks it. Money starts falling from the sky.
Yeah.
So
a really great humorous scene in the midst of chaos and horror.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, they did it really well. And they even made it really dreadful as they then turn the camera on to Bear, whose face is just hopeless. And they're just, because now he's like, literally the only thing I can do now is kill myself.
Yep.
So he goes back to his house. Bear goes back to his house and he finds Nikki in there. And Nikki has propped up the dead body of Sarah in their kitchen and has painted herself to look like Sarah. She has put her tattoos on herself. She has painted herself white. Nikki is a person of color, it seems, and she has dark skin or not. She's not black. But she's brown skin, and Sarah is not. So she has done whiteface. She's white faced, painted the tattoos onto herself, and said, "Look, I can be her now." She dyed her hair jet black instead of brown. So yeah, very very psychotic looking. And she hurts herself multiple times to try and get Bear to stop trying to break up with her and stop trying to leave her. She pulls out a gun at one point and then says, "I'll fucking kill you. I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself if that's what you want me to do." While she is doing that, Ian comes in. He's like, "Bro, are you seriously just going to leave, bro? I have $1 billion." And she points the gun at Ian and blows his fucking head off. So that's not really what happens. She puts a hole in his head. So now Ian's dead. Great. Bear is freaking out and he ends up locking himself in the bathroom. He has the gun on himself now and he's about to kill himself and realizes he can't do it. He can't, take his own life, but he does open his medicine cabinet and sees the pills in there that his cat got into at the beginning of the movie that led to the cat dying. Then he just swallows all of the pills. But then as he swallows all of the pills and he's right about to throw them back up, you hear the sound of the breaking of another wish. And you hear the sound of the box opening and another crack of another wish. And then he stops and he walks out and he sees Nikki, and he's now madly in love with her. So now you realize this new version of Nikki has wished for him. And again, they don't say anything, that's done very well. She has wished, I wish he loved me more than any. I wish he loved me as much as I love him, whatever. So then they start kissing, but then his mouth starts to foam because he's already swallowed all these pills. She starts to freak out, puts him on her lap. And then as he dies, the wish goes away. Nikki comes back to life. The camera turns upside down to view a staticky TV as you hear Nikki just screaming in the background. Roll credits. That's the end of the movie. So, very interesting plot. Now, we've seen stories in the past of careful what you wish for, right? The monkey's paw story has been around for a very long time. In fact, Jordan Peele's entire studio is named after the monkey paw story. And it's a whole subreddit too. If you guys ever want to check it out, r/monkeypaw, you make a wish and then people in the comments tell you what the bad effect is. But at the same time, I think that this dynamic is very new and refreshing. And the way that they did it was very new and refreshing. I think that when we get into the stuff that we loved about this movie, like I said, like they don't really explain anything. Like this character, this main character, Bear, I think that what's so great about his character is that he is this really soft, reserved guy. And it seemed like the only thing he actually wanted in life was to be with this girl. Like at a certain point, she's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, you don't want to work at this music store forever. What do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. He like makes up an answer. And it's like, okay, so you haven't even thought about like what your life is about, And because when you start to think of someone who, all they ever care about is just having a girlfriend and it has to be the popular pretty girl. Okay, well, you get to a point where the real Nikki is talking to him while this fake Nikki that has taken over her is asleep. And he goes, well, what's so bad about being with me? And you go, oh, he's an incel. The whole time.
Well, he's, the incel.
He gives incel the whole movie, kind of.
He gives he definitely treads on like incel territory. He doesn't fully go in.
Use Google. That's part of it.
He doesn't fully go into it, but I think that the moment that hit me of like really starting to see the different aspects of horror happening at the same time, you have this obvious one of being trapped in the kind of possession of someone who is dangerously obsessed with you. And the misery that it brings, that's obvious. The one that was sort of, I like that they played with was just the clear loss of autonomy of Nikki's character. Because you can see it happening before you even get to scenes like this, where you feel that it's just so unfair what has happened to her. It's so fucking unfair that this loser who, like you said, like that the flip, that's the extra subtext too, to me, is the flip of, oh, when she's obsessed with you, it's too much and it's ruining your life. But you've been obsessing over her this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Of course, like look what you're doing.
You
to
never
someone.
think that it's hard for a girl who has to go to work every day with this guy who has a fucking hardcore crush on her and won't get over it and won't even date this other girl that likes him.
Yeah.
And is still just going to obsess over you the whole time. Makes you feel like you have to hide your sex life with this other guy from him because you can't just go fuck whoever you want because you're going to hurt his feelings if he knows about it. So it's like, I understand why Nikki doesn't tell him that she's sleeping with Ian. Obviously, Ian needs to tell him if he's a good friend, because he should be the one to say it. But I understand why Nikki doesn't, because you know how dangerous it has been for women to admit that they don't like a guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like
up.
There are parts of this character where I'm like, yeah, fuck this guy. Like there are times where I feel bad for him too. There are times where I'm like, man, it's really hard for you, like because of how awkward you are and because of your personality, because you are so reserved, that it's hard for you to flirt. It's really hard. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what I will tell you is that I know lots of people in real life who are this way, and they find someone who loves the guy who can't flirt. You know,
Yeah, someone like Sarah.
Someone like Sarah who loves a reserved guy, but you are trying to force a girl who would never like you to like you instead of just finding people who do like you, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's frustrating because of that dichotomy. But I think that for the majority of the movie, I was like, you know, feeling for Nikki's character, like the real Nikki, you know?
Yeah, I think that the scene that hit the hardest with that is I believe it's, you know, it's not super important, but I believe it's right after they're having dinner and he finds out that she's lying about her father's cancer. But I think that I can't remember the exact conversation, but they're talking about something, and it's her making this kind of plead of like, is it okay that I'm the way I am and that I'm so obsessed with you, whatever it is, right? That's like the context. And there's this long pause and he says, fine with me. Like, I think he even says like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, it's really dismissive. And then they hard cut to him just having sex with her motionless body.
Right.
And it was actually so heartbreaking that I almost felt like teary-eyed.
Right.
It was that impactful to me because it comes through the editing as well. It's a really good. It comes down to the editing of choosing to hard cut from that line of I don't care, to then him just humping her, you know, motionless body. It was so hardcore to me and really, really heartbreaking to see her complete loss of autonomy and like, oh my fucking God. This is a absolute horror story for her as well. She did like this
because he actually does like this obsession. Like that's the thing, is that you think it's this scary thing where that's happening to him, but it's like you wanted this. You actually, he's like, because even like I think that the scene where that's the most obvious, the most clear is when he calls the customer service. This is Curry Barker's role in the movie, by the way, is when he is calling customer service for this One Wish Willow, and it's just this is the funniest scene in the movie, by the way.
I know,
because I was like, Curry Barker is such a good comedic actor; it's crazy.
He really is.
And
I love the scene
because he calls the customer service line, and the guy's like, "Hello." He's like, "Hi, is this One Wish Willow?" He goes, "Yeah." Like, already this is funny. Yeah, because he answers the phone like a normal guy,
right.
And then he's like, "Yeah, so I don't like this wish or whatever." And he's like, "So do you want to cancel your wish or whatever?" He's like, "No, I don't want to cancel it." And you go, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I just want to alter it." Oh, so you still want to take her autonomy away? You still don't want her to feel the way she actually feels. You just don't want her to be obsessed. You're upset not because she's not feeling the way she actually wants to feel and she's doing this based on the wish. You're upset because you said loves me more than anything else in the world. And you wish you would have just said, I wish that she liked me.
Yeah.
Like, you're still a piece of shit for that. And then that scene gets even crazier when the guy on the phone is like,
do you want to talk to her?
Do you want to talk to her? Now, here's what is funny. He goes, okay, so is it real? Like, is it actually real or is it just my wish? And he's like, yeah, I mean, she has real feelings, I guess. I don't know what you mean by that. He's like, okay, well, then I do want to cancel it. He goes, we don't really do that. He's like, why did you say that?
I think he even said like, he said a very corporate phrase where it was like, oh, so you want to like fill out a cancellation request form?
Right.
And he's like, I mean, yeah. And he's like, well, we don't really do that. It's like, hey, fuck you.
He goes, wait, if you guys don't do that, then why did you suggest it? He goes, I'm just trying to anticipate needs.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to anticipate what you want for a conversation.
I do love that they get to do something this funny.
Yeah,
it's so many different ways. It's a funny to kind of poke fun at customer service calls of one, the subverting expectations of answering by going, hello?
Right.
What's up? and then,
it's also funny because
then you parody customer service lingo and going like, oh, you want to make a cancellation request form? And then ultimately you don't get what you need after calling a customer service.
Right.
You know,
it's also funny because he does that line twice. He goes, well, I don't want to cancel my wish. I just want to alter it. He goes, we don't really do that. He goes, okay, then I do want to cancel. He goes, wait, we don't really do that. He's like, then what do you do? He's like, and basically that's the point of the movie where he actually says like, well, you could kill yourself. If you were dead, the wish wouldn't be there. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that, whatever. Mm-hmm. But again, like my point of bringing that scene up, I think that scene is fun to talk about. But my point of bringing it up was to say this guy doesn't want the wish to go away. He does want this, but he just wants it to be less intense, you know? Because the cat thing comes into play a couple of times. Okay, the first time it comes into play is the first night that he makes the wish. She comes over to his house and, you know, she stays the night. When he wakes up the next day, there's breakfast, you know, on the table, and he goes into the kitchen and he sees that she has taken his dead cat out of the trash, and he puts it in a trash bag. I don't know if he actually, you know, threw her away or anything, but he does put his cat in a trash bag. But so he sees she takes the cat out of the trash and puts it on the ground on like a blanket and puts a couple of candles there and like a little card. And she's like, oh, this is supposed to be a memorial. He's like, no, what the fuck? This is not okay. She's like, you're supposed to like this. And it's like, that's such a good scene because one, it shows this is how psychotic this character is about to be. But it also is, I'm showing you an intense amount of affection. You're supposed to like it.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to like it. Like, it just like that idea is so prevalent in this movie through the subtext. I just loved that.
Yeah, me too. It was a great way to start to establish this avalanche that hasn't started yet.
Right.
It's just a trickle of snow. And I love the way that they do it. Again, it's what adds to my compliment of how well paced this movie is. It was great.
Because she also cooks the cat.
She does eventually, and I look. Everyone saw it. I would assume most people saw this coming when
Right.
she says, "I made you lunch."
Yeah,
and he
when
starts
she says,
biting into it.
I didn't know it was going to be this, but I knew it was going to be something crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like I was like shocked that he started eating it without even looking at what was made. But yeah, she makes him a lunch. She packs it. He starts to eat it, a sandwich, while he's talking to Sarah. And there's a note that she leaves on it because he talks to her earlier in the movie about how maybe he would want to be a food critic if he could be anything. And I love when you talk about subtext, right? I love that they did this with his character too. So his character is that's why his character reminds me of a fucking 13-year-old. But his character is so obsessed with Nikki, but yet doesn't really know a lot with her at all. Right?
He's the only character who doesn't know she has a bad relationship with her father.
And that's really good. That's really good script writing to have these other characters reveal that he doesn't know about her nearly as much as everyone else. And so
Which is obsession, not love.
His character clearly has this character trait of just not knowing a lot about shit, but really believing in it. Right? Doesn't really know a lot about Nikki, but just is so obsessed with her for some reason. That is true in his scene where he's like, yeah, maybe I'll be a food critic. I mean, I'll just like go into a place and they'll give me a 4-course meal and they won't even ask me to pay. And she's like, are you sure that's how it works? And he's like, I don't know. Like that's a consistency in character. That's good subtext to show that his idealism of what I would do if I could do anything is this completely, he's so unfamiliar with how it works.
Yeah.
And so I think that was really cool. It's also playful, so it's not that deep, but you know, it's a playful scene. But I thought that was consistency to the character that he doesn't really know. So she's doing a callback to that by putting a note on his lunch that says, you know, what's the score? Or
she's like, to my little food critic.
Yeah. And when that's how we find out this was a great reveal. I like the way they did this is that when Sarah rips off the Post-it note, the back of it, I believe it was, right? It says,
what's the verdict?
What's the verdict?
Cat. Question mark.
And so you realize that he's been eating his dead cat.
Yes. So not only do they do this, where he's been eating his dead cat, he freaks out, but it plays into that thing that I was saying about him still wanting this, that he practices telling her, hey, don't feed me cat. You're still not trying to end this wish.
Right. He's still trying to program her a certain way.
Yeah. He's like, as long as I can ask her not, because they have this conversation in the morning before he leaves, like, hey, don't do weird shit anymore. And she's like, okay. He thinks that's going to work. So he's like, okay, yeah, I can just program her to be how I want her to be. Now, I will say this, before we start to get the reveal that it's literally like a person taking over her body and doing this like obsessed Nikki thing and this like multiple personalities get out type of thing, part of me was thinking, hey man, maybe you care for what you wish for. You don't want to be in a very deeply loving relationship with the girl they used to call Freaky Nikki. I was like, maybe this girl's not well. You don't know anything about her. They used to call her Freaky. Why did they call her that? Does she like dead cats? Is
That's
she
the
into
thing,
dead
man.
animals? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
That's why I think
I was thinking that at first.
That's why I think Paper Town should be required reading. I'm being so serious. That book was so pivotal to me to challenge my idealisms as a teenage boy of the difference between knowing someone and expecting someone to be a way of how you imagine them and how you perceive them to be.
Yeah.
That book is such a masterpiece of that. And I think that it's really important for people of that age to start to learn early. Yeah. And some people never learn, clearly, like this character, right? And it's funny, you know what's funny about this too? The whole time we're talking about all this main character is a very attractive guy.
Yeah, he's a good looking guy.
He doesn't like really take care of himself all the way, but like even when he like has his work uniform on, he actually showers on. I was like, this guy is really handsome. And I was like, and I was thinking that because he's so awkward. I was like, man, let me look like this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like I would be crushing. So it's really funny to me that, you know, he's a very self-imposed, sad, you know, whatever. It's like you won the genetic lottery in terms of you are an attractive person. You got it. You did the hard part, you know? So, yeah, it's funny that he's, but, yeah, I like that scene a lot because I liked the bond that it creates between Sarah and him and seeing that chemistry.
Yeah, that like, oh, I can see why she likes him. And I can see why they would actually be good together, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, especially because, you know, she wants to do this really specific thing. You know, she wants to go to art school and become a tattoo artist. Like that's her dream, right? And I think that, you know, him supporting her in that and that, you know, in that moment was like, oh, you actually know more about her and what she wants. Like everyone knows she wants to go to art school, but you know she wants to be a tattoo artist specifically. Mm-hmm. You know that about her. You don't know shit about Nikki. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you actually have a more of a vested interest in relationship with this person than the person you say that you're in love with.
Right.
You know, and it just becomes one of those things where it's like, oh, you literally just think that she's pretty. That's the only reason why you're obsessed with this girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to a certain point. And I know that we've both, you know, had those moments too, where we look back, like you and I both have had crushes in the past where, you know, we look back and we go, oh my God, that would have been an awful relationship. I have no chemistry
you know what's crazy?
With that person.
You know what's crazy about the timing of this film is I very recently just you know, sometimes you have a memory that pops up in your head that you just haven't thought about since it happened. And then you're like, wait, what the fuck? I remember like the girl that I had like the biggest crush on for all 4 years of high school. It was like my freshman year of high school or something. There was a banquet that I was going to for choir. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask her to be my date. So I asked her, and we were friends, you know, so it wasn't like out of nowhere. I asked her and she said yes. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no fucking way. I just got a date with redacted. And so, you know, I'm not doxing anyone. So I was so excited, right? We go to the banquet and at the time, there was this other girl that was in the choir group that was so cute, so pretty, great personality, super outgoing, and she was very obviously crushing on me. And we go through some of the ceremony, and then it's like, oh, there's going to be a dance afterwards. So then we're going to the dance. And I'm like, oh, I'm finally going to get to dance with this girl that I had this huge crush on. And then she's like, hey, I'm going to head out. And she was kind of over it. And I was like, no, please stay, please, you know? And she's like, I'm sorry, but, you know, yeah, it's getting late. I want to go. And then this other girl, the one that's super cute, interesting, and is interested in me and all that, she is asking me to come dance as my date, you know, is leaving. And I was so bummed that she was leaving that I was like, nah, fuck it. And I didn't even give her the time of day, this awesome, amazing girl. I thought about that randomly recently. So the fact that this movie is hitting, I really, you know, but that's what makes me go, well, I was 14 when that happened.
Right. So and this movie is about like early 20s.
Yeah.
Guys. Like,
and so,
or I guess it is kind of about teenagers because they're all applying to college.
Right.
So it does seem like, but obviously you can apply to college later in life too. But yeah, it does seem like they're like really recently graduated high school is the vibe that we're getting.
Sure.
But still, you're right. Like it is important to have those experiences early, and we look back on them and we go, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's not at all what I wanted."
Yeah, like it kills me. I didn't dance with that other girl that night because she was so sweet, very, very pretty, very into me. And yeah, this is a real life situation that this movie's, I can really empathize with it, but also from a 14-year-old perspective, because, that's how young I was when that happened. So
Yeah.
it's a little frustrating that it's happening to someone, who has their own house.
Yeah.
Oh, I love too when she comes over for the first time. And they don't point this out at all. I just thought it was so funny that he invites her in and she's kind of taking the place in. And in the background, there's like a computer desk like a desk, computer chair at it. And there's just a massive bottle of lotion just on. I was like, hey, brother, tidy up a bit.
A little bit, man. Just like a little bit, bro.
Because he like moves some trash off of the desk, but leaves the lotion there. Hey, brother, hey, put it away, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Fucking insane. Yeah, no. This character is, and that's the other thing too that kind of pissed me off about the beginning of the movie. I'm like, you are so obsessed with this girl. And then you make this little wish and she's like, do you want to come in? And you're like, no. I'm like, you just got so upset with yourself for not admitting to her how you feel. And then she's like, do you want to come in? And you're like, no. And she's like, well, can I come to your house? And you're like, no. And then she's like, my dad's dying. And you're like, all right, fine. And then she's like, do you want to come to the bed with me? And you're like, no. I'm like, do you fucking like her or not?
I know. I was feeling that too. I really was starting to get a little like, hey, fucking virgin. Like,
dude,
just like,
for real.
step the fuck up, buddy.
Right.
Again, it's like I don't know. There's just something about it. There's something about, like, if this was a 14, 15-year-old kid, I would have no qualms about it. Because I'd be
Right.
like, well, yeah, like, that's so, I get it. You're so lost. But I'm like, as old as you are, brother, get it to fucking together.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Yeah,
And
it was
yeah.
killing me. I thought the same. I was like, dude, that exact thought. I was like, do you fucking like her or not?
Yeah. So getting into some of the horror elements of this movie, I mean, obviously the visuals are really intense at a lot of points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when we talk about she, props up the dead body of a woman whose face she fucking decimated and then, wears her fucking skin basically, is very intensely, from a visual perspective, insane. So I love that like body horror, I guess you could call it, element of the movie. It's not super prevalent, but when they do it really well.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
That part is really good. When she stabs herself in the face with the, the bottle, it's very visceral and very violent. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't love that. I think that is, I'm a little tired of that trope.
well, it has. I was just about to say now it's not as good as Weapons with the forks.
Yeah, it's not as good, but I just feel like there's literally there's Instagram reels and TikToks about this, about why does every horror movie do this now? And then it's like a compilation of people just grabbing something and smashing their own face with it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this isn't everything. It's getting so tired and it's so overdone.
Yeah.
It's so overplayed.
They didn't Talk to Me.
I would love. Yeah, they did. And Talk to Me was a little different too because it was
Because he smashes his
the
face
possession. Yeah, the person possessing him smashing his face down into something instead of grabbing something and smashing his own face with it.
Oh, right.
We're talking about like the Smile 2 weight, right? And it's like everyone's doing this. And so I was a little annoyed that it did it in this movie too. Because I like if you want to do like this self-harm thing, that's fine. I think that the Weapons thing was a lot more creative with it.
Oh yeah,
And-
especially how it like pauses and waits, and then the blood starts to drip like afterwards.
And then the ultimate example of this is Bring Her Back. There was no smash. It was way different shit.
Self mutilation.
Self-mutilation with knives going between your gums as you chew on a knife. Then it was chewing on the edge of a table. Then it was
arm linguine.
arm spaghetti, what you called it.
What did I call? Oh, arm parpadelli.
Yeah,
it's arm
like-
parpadelli pasta. Yeah,
That's a lot more creative and because it's all comes down to self-mutilation, right? I do think that I wish they would have done something a little different with it in this movie instead of the overplayed, grab something and smash my own face with it. I think it's a little overdone.
I agree with that. When I said that I liked it, what I meant was just the gore looked good. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that doing that in general was because I actually had a different complaint about it. But I'm glad that you brought that up. And now that you bring up these other examples, I'm like, oh, he's actually right. Like that is way overdone. My bigger complaint about it was that's supposed to be Nikki taking over and trying to kill herself. I'm like, obviously slit your throat, dumbass.
Yeah, like you have a window. It's like,
You have
come
this
on,
window
you
and
gotta
you're
go
like,
hard.
let me stab my eye with it. What are you, a fucking idiot?
Yeah.
God, first time trying to kill yourself or something? God.
I like that they established that early too. I mean, it happens the first night she stays over, of her freaking out for a second, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Like the actual Nikki is getting full consciousness and is like, where the fuck am I? What is happening? But then it takes over again.
Yeah.
I think that adds to the suspense of the film because you never know. Nothing's ever safe or steady or,
Yeah.
or calmed enough. This could happen at any moment.
Yeah, I think that one of the other horror elements that I like that they played with a little bit was kind of not necessarily physical claustrophobia, but attention claustrophobia, if that makes sense. Like her obsession with the, name of the movie, with him, like they have this whole scene where it cuts back and forth between Bear and Ian. And every time we're looking at Bear, in a shallow, it's shallow depth, right? So you can the only thing in focus is Bear, but in the blurred background, you can see that Nikki is staring at him.
Yeah, I love
And they
that.
do this a lot in the movie. Like like when I say they do it very intentionally, like every time something is not in focus doesn't mean it's not important. And I love that. I love that attention to detail. I'm not saying that's throughout the entire every single movie. I'm not telling you guys go look for the the stuff in the blur, but I'm saying like throughout the movie, if you look into the blur, you'll see these moments of her being a freak, and like being this like obsessed, psychotic attention, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like that idea of someone staring at you all the time. Which, by the way, so there's something that happened in this movie I've actually had to do to my own wife, which is they're watching a movie. And he had to grab her face and turn it towards the movie because she was staring at him instead of the movie. I've actually had to do that to my wife before. So in case anyone's wondering if my wife actually loves me. So that is like a really impressive thing that they did and very intentional. And I think that the best moments of horror, or at least my favorite parts of horror, were the really quiet, scary moments. Like there is a specific scene and it is... Bear wakes up in the middle of the night and they show the room, and in the tiniest, and you guys know how much I love a tiny, dark, shadowy figure in the corner. I talk about it on this podcast all the time. I love it when they did it in Halloween, Hereditary. We love this. We love when you can stare at a scene and it takes you a minute to go, they're right there. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And right when you realize that she's there, she goes, go back to sleep. And it's dead silent.
Yeah.
And everyone in the theater was like, "Oh fuck, man!" Like this is like
we had a great crowd, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Our
really
theater
good
was
audience.
great. Yeah.
Now I will say a couple chatty Cathys, but I'll forgive him for it because me and Dana weren't exactly silent. But anyways, yeah. So that was one of my favorite elements of horror is when they do these really quiet, really still, very well paced scenes. Of just like nothing until like, and it's just creepy, and that's one of the things we say is it's hard to get us with a jump scare, but when you can creep us out, I think you do it really well. And I think that for you, the car scene, I saw you in the theater
Because the framing, yep.
like actually getting scared.
Yeah, I knew something was coming, but that's what makes a good horror director is using framing to your advantage.
No character in this movie has defrosters in their car, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. They
for
all
real.
have foggy windows.
Yeah, so the car scene was great because you can see that intentional framing, and then what they do really brilliantly is that as they keep cutting back and forth to the different shots of each character talking, it gets closer every time.
Right.
So continuously throughout the scene, it's getting closer and closer and closer to the window behind them. And I'm just like, holy fucking shit. What is about to happen? What's about to pop out? What's about to jump scare me?
Yeah.
So I think that's really good horror filmmaking. I love, you bringing up that scene of her watching him sleep, because what adds to it is when she eventually emerges from that shadow, when we start to get a little bit more light illuminating her face a little bit, it almost looks off, like it's not actually her face.
I was like, did they get a different actress?
Did they
for
edit
this?
it? Did they
Something, because it doesn't look like her.
And I think that's
in this scene.
really smart to do. I think that creates a sense of unease. But also, when she eventually goes back to the corner, she does it by this backwards walking thing that was... When I say that, when I blow Hereditary about the way that she crawls on the ceiling and how it's both silly and scary at the same time because it's uncanny valley, This did that absolutely with the way that because
Uncanny
she does
Valley
it,
is the perfect way to describe it.
because she does it again later in the film.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Towards the end. She does it when she walks back into the kitchen, and it freaked me the fuck out because it starts.
And it's better than crawling. It's better than just having a real actress crawl on the ground. I know I bitch about this in Hokum, but like it's better than crawling. It's this like you said, Uncanny Valley. It's a combination of these unhuman-like movements with this editing that's like she's skipping frames.
Exactly. I think that's part of it too, like you said. So I was going to mention the speed at which she does it is what kind of, and it is through it. Yeah, skipping frames is clicking now in my head of how to explain it, because that creates a sense of threat, because now there is this kind of supernatural, superhuman superpower. So you compare that to crawling, which is putting yourself at a disadvantage. This puts you at an advantage. So it's like
you are faster than you should be.
Exactly. So it hits all the marks of good horror to me. I loved it. I loved the way that that scene was when I was like, oh, we're really in for something here with the horror. And it obviously it ends up becoming even crazier and crazier throughout the movie, which is great. But it's like you establish that well of holy shit, this is actually creepy. And then obviously like with the louder moments, it is. You have to choose the right, this is the Ari Aster specialty of choosing the right kind of scream that elicits pain and fear. And he does it in this movie, just like Ari did with Midsummer and Hereditary, of having these blood curdling screams that just fucking get under your skin. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And that's part of what I meant by this actress has a really, really hard job, is that she both has to be like cute and quirky, and also like sexy at times, and also scary, and also like blood curdling screams. It's like that is very dynamic for you to go from like cute, fun, hipster girly to screaming your head off in a way that's both like almost like somebody who's going through a manic episode, like someone with like mental health issues going through a manic episode, but also at the same time like a horror character screaming, like it's a very difficult thing to balance, I think, in having to be the cute girl and the scary, the big bad at the same time is very difficult, I think. And I think that she absolutely nailed it in the switch of being able to go back and forth. Because that's a big part of the movie, is that she'll scream and go like, go back to sleep. Or if you want to, or whatever. And it's like, now I will say they did it so many times that I did start to be like, you know what?
It didn't feel overplayed or overdone to me, because sometimes they do it for horror and then sometimes they do it for comedy. I think that's why it felt so like balanced to me, even though I know what you're saying. It's like it might lose its luster a little bit.
Yeah,
but when
it's less jarring the fourth or fifth time that she's.
But
screaming.
I think that sometimes it was done for comedy, and that's why it felt different, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
but I don't disagree with what you're saying, that they do it too much.
So yeah, there is a lot to like about this movie, especially with the different performances and how they play into each other. I really don't think that there's a single like really bad performance, and I think one of the best performances in the whole movie was the the girl at the crystal shop.
Oh yeah, she was
great. So great. And then the other guy who works there too, he was also funny. Like, he was also. I was like, man, like every
even the
little,
small parts, yeah,
these little parts were.
Or
good.
even the people at the party had great reaction, and that's a
Andy Richter.
Andy Richter, which I'm so shocked he was in this movie. Just because of the subject matter and stuff, he's such a lovable, family
friendly
guy.
Wait a minute.
Fuck, you're trying to make it look fake. God damn it!
And so yeah, I was really impressed by it. Yeah, but that's like a testament to the directing, that you're able to get these performances out of all of these different actors and all these different types of performances to add to the movie. So it was great.
Yeah,
I really liked this movie, man. It was really good. The lighting was impeccable. What you said about Hokum last week is how I feel about this movie.
Yeah, just very intentional.
It's like, man, everything was colored right. Everything was lit right. So there's really not a whole lot to criticize, honestly, which is,
pretty rare.
It's rare. It's a refreshing thing to get to say. I thought this was a really good movie. I loved it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it if you can go see it. And honestly, I was going to say if you can go see it in theaters, I think this would be a fun movie to watch at home too. So when it comes out on physical media, you can watch it at home.
I will be owning the 4K, folks.
I'll be owning the 4K. If you want my digital code, email me because I'm not using that shit.
Yeah, bro.
That trash. My favorite part of this movie was the car scene. Like I said, to me, it was price of admission. I was like, even if this movie goes nowhere from here, watching this girl smash this girl's face with a fucking against a brick. It wasn't that she was smashing a brick into her face. She held a brick and smashed her face into the brick. And I was like, okay, that's a choice. That scene to me is price of admission. And by the way, it does progress from there. It gets more gory and it gets more intense and insane from a visual perspective. So I'm glad that it does elevate from that scene on. But that scene to me, I was like, even if it goes nowhere and this movie ends like shit, this movie is worth coming to see just for this scene.
Yeah.
My least favorite part of the movie, I think, like I said, for me, it was really just the music. Like I said, there's not very much music in the movie. The needle drops I thought were just out of place entirely. And there were just so many scenes where we have this ambient, just, like you Googled horror movie ambient music, and then put that in there. That just didn't need to be in there. It doesn't take away a ton from the scene, but it doesn't add anything either. And I think that music should be something that adds to a scene or elevates something to another level and incorporates emotions and feelings and things like that. Whereas that was just put in there because I felt like the movie was too silent for too long, and I didn't really like that. But that's my only like big gripe of the movie. And not something most people are even going to give a shit about.
Right. And like we said just now, like it's a hard movie to criticize, at least, for how we feel about it, obviously. But I think my favorite scene, it's really hard not to say that my favorite scene, I think it has to be the customer service call. I just was so like, not only was it just well framed, well paced, well acted, it was funny, it was
scary.
It was interesting.
Scary.
It ends scary.
Did we ever like really go into that about how it ends scary?
Yeah, we said that he says like, "Do you want to talk to her right now?" And then she starts screaming. The actual Nikki is trapped in some kind of purgatory, and it was. But that adds a surrealism to it too. Of like, wait, what? But they don't explain it. Right, that's what makes it good. Is that they don't go, this company.
Back in the day, and you know what's funny? In fact, they kind of poke fun at that. They kind of poke fun at that element of like smile plot because he goes to Google it and he goes, "Do these work?" And every answer goes, "Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no." It was really funny. I was like, oh, okay, so they're literally like, the internet. Yeah, do they fucking work? No, they don't. You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, they actually do work because my cousin actually said they work. Well, if you actually think that they work, then it's like, okay, that's welcome to the internet.
Right. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, that it was just like the most engaged I felt with the movie, I think, which I was engaged the whole way, but I was so giddy. I was so giddy hearing Curry's voice and then going, oh, we're going to get like a funny scene here. So it was really a high for me, but at the same time, like it's right there with like the entire third act. Like, because they did a fantastic ending to this movie. I just think, we need to give it enough shine. Like it's hard to end movies in general. It's really hard to end a horror movie, I feel like. And they did a great job, in my opinion. I think that they nailed it with the ending. And so, the way that energy from that brick scene, your favorite scene, all the way to the end of the movie, it just keeps that
even
pace
just
ramped
before
up.
that is the scene that I talked about earlier where she says the real Nikki talks to him while the other one is sleeping. And that leads into the brick scene. So like that even, kind of sets off the third act. And he's talking to her and she's completely asleep and she starts talking, which is very creepy and weird to look at. And for her to be like, "Will you kill me?" Just like really soft and subtle. It was
a great decision. You're right. That is such a great decision of how to deliver those lines. Fantastic. I have to mention this too. Not that it matters that much, but the idea of leaving the pod without mentioning this is killing me. I loved the reveal of the duct tape door.
Oh yeah!
Holy shit! What an awesome reveal. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, because he turns, gets really fucking scared.
Is almost looking like right next to the camera, like almost into the lens.
And he's like Tilly looks terrified, and we're like, what the fuck is he looking at? And then when they cut to behind him and they show this door, I was like, oh my, this bitch is crazy.
Like, it was an awesome, yeah, exactly. It was so perfectly to show him communicating with her as he's looking at something horrified and then eventually show it to us. I thought it was awesome. It was a great reveal. Yeah, my least favorite part of the movie is what I was started to bitch about was the self-mutilation thing. I think that it's just so overplayed, and it almost felt like this moment at this party deserved something a little more as well. I don't think it went hard enough. It's hard to say that when it eventually does give you that. So it's not like you get it leaves you unsatisfied. But I just felt like that scene specifically I'm someone who has seen Antichrist, okay? When it comes to self-mutilation, I've seen how far you can go.
Yep.
And there are multiple scenes that you might think that I'm referring to, and that's the point. Yes, you can go harder. You can do something a little more creative of self-mutilation than just smashing your face with something. It's so overplayed. It's so overdone. We have to get a little more creative with this and have some more fun with it. Grab your fingernail and pull it off as it pulls off part of your finger, at skin ripping apart. Do something that is
Or
little
even
more
do like a
piercing.
Suspiria type of thing, where like
Bone breaking.
Yeah, but where you don't even see the gore, but you can feel it through the movement.
Yeah.
Or you could even go to Infinity Pool, where it's like, like a hallucination of body horror, and extending nipples.
That's another thing I wanted to shout out to this movie is no dream sequence shit.
Yeah, no dream sequence. And you thought there were a couple moments where we thought, is this a dream sequence? And it wasn't.
The W. Yeah, that was my least favorite part of the movie. It's the most that I was like, I was kind of eye rolling. So that would have to be my least favorite part.
Yeah, that scene also, one of my least favorite things about that scene was it's another scene where I wanted to punch this dude in the gut. I'm like, your girlfriend is stabbing her face with a broken piece of glass and you're sitting there doing you fucking pussy.
Yeah.
The way that he just freezes, pisses me off, man. Like, what is wrong with you? I couldn't stand it. Anyways, I am giving this movie an 8 out of 10. Definitely closer to a 9 than a 7. I'll probably go 8.5 when I get it on 4K, honestly, knowing me.
Yeah, I'm also giving it an 8 out of 10. Are we shocked? Oh my God, they gave us something the same score. These two guys who have very similar tastes in movies, like the same movies. I think it is closer to a 9 than a 7. There's really not a lot to criticize for me with this film. I think that I like the slot of 8 too, because Bring Her Back was an 8.5 for me, and that 0.5 was the fact that this movie terrified me and made me cry.
Yep.
And it doesn't reach that level for me where it's just like actually does both this emotional thing and this fear thing. So it doesn't quite reach that level for me, but it is really close to it. I just say that to say I could see a listener being like, they gave it an 8 after talking about it like it was a fucking 9 or whatever.
Okay, so to speak to that, for people who are like, oh, you guys blew this movie so much, blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, there's a lot of movies that we talk about all the time on this podcast that we bring up throughout every episode. And we never stop talking about Hereditary. And we never stop talking about The Raid 2, whatever. If we did a full episode on that, you would kind of see where that difference is, at least for me. And that's why we talked in the underrated episode. I was like, the reason I've never done a full episode on Short Term 12 is because it will be a 4-hour-long episode and the movie's an hour and a half. There's a difference between a 9 for me. And we did, One Battle After Another was a 9 that we gave. And
which we rewatched it recently, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And the scene with Regina Hall in the bathroom with the little devices.
Thing, yeah.
The shot of her in the mirror as it slowly encroaches. And I mean, we're watching something, this scene, and I just look over at Dave and I'm like, God, this shot is just incredible. I'm gushing about something that's passively happening.
Yeah.
That's the real pinnacle of a high score for me.
And it's also, we gave that movie a 9 out of 10, and then it won Best Picture. So
yeah,
I just want that on the record. All right. We're pretty good at this stuff. Anyways. My point is that you can see some of those differences, how we get to these, certain scores. But we even disagree with some of our other scores. But the good thing is that now we have an official spreadsheet of our scores, thanks to our friend Schmat, who I called Schmat because of his handle. Now, our friend Matt, he went ahead and made the full catalog of everything, and I told Daniel, I said, I have a great way of honoring our friend for doing this, for a friend of the pod, friend of the stream, one of our most consistent listeners and viewers, and that is that I am referring to this spreadsheet from henceforth as the Schmatalog. So every time we give a score, we're adding it to the Schmatalog. So thank you, Schmat, for doing that for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
super cool. We appreciate it a lot.
It's going to help us a lot in keeping track of a lot of stuff. And if we ever do decide to do that re-ranking episode, we will update the Schmatalog.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think that would be fun.
And that's going to be it for this episode. So please, go check out this movie if you have the opportunity. But also, if you want to let us know what you thought of this movie, if you went to go see it, or let us know what you thought of this episode if you listened, you can reach us at Wild Dream Pod on Instagram and TikTok. You can also come and watch us stream. We also have an open AMA. And if you love horror, we do a lot of horror video games. We did a horror video game recently where it was a demo the whole time. We do a lot of horror over there. So if you're a fan of horror, come check us out. We are at Wild Dream Stream on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. But until next time, we love you. We kiss you. Good night.